Say Instagram. Say Instagram.
Remember your high-tech camera from last week.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the closing gala screening of the 34th Annual Vancouver International Film Festival. Now that is what we're talking about. My name is Riaz Michi from Breakfast Television Vancouver, which is also a part of the Rogers family. And if you didn't know, Rogers is a very proud sponsor of this festival year after year. And many of you are here for a treatment movie tonight, and for those of you that have attended movies and events throughout the festival, you've seen a lot. You know, I think one of my favorite parts of the festival this year, the VIF Industry Conference. And if you didn't know about it, a lot of volunteers, for those cheering, they probably went to it, a lot of volunteers put in a great deal of work. And you know, when it comes to movies and the product we see out there, I think one of the greatest pieces of wisdom taken out there is the statement that content is king. But in this conference, you look at the fact that content is everywhere, but insight isn't. And that's what's the great thing about this festival, the introduction of ideas, seeing the passion of the volunteers, and having filmmakers share their vision like they're about to do with us tonight. So a big congratulations to all the volunteers and all the hard work done. VIF has delighted audiences with over 500 screenings of some of this year's most acclaimed independent films from around the world, and many gems found along the way. And tonight we get to wrap up with a special one, Mark Abrams' much anticipated I Saw the Light. Our Deputy Mayor here in Vancouver to share some opening remarks. Please welcome Andrea Reiner.
So my name is Andrea Reiner. I am Deputy Mayor, and it is a pleasure to be here tonight on behalf of Mayor Gregor Robertson and our City Council to celebrate another successful year for the Vancouver International Film Festival. I also saw Councillor Jack Meigs tonight come in, and you know, some of you may not know this, if there was a Lifetime Achievement Award given to elected officials for most cultural events attended, Councillor Meigs would definitely receive that award. So thank you, Jeff, for all that support. If there's anything that we've learned during this federal election, I'm sure you're wondering what I might think we've learned in this federal election, it is that it is incredibly and frighteningly easy to find things that we are divided on. But luckily, there is still one thing that we can all agree on, that across time and geography, across religion, across culture, that is that we have a deep and irrepressible love of storytelling. Stories bind us together. They teach us that the things we don't know about each other generally aren't scary, but actually rather interesting. They connect and preserve and the things that matter to us so that they can endure through generations. Generally, that's a good thing, as you've seen over the last couple of weeks, but once in a while, it's a bad thing. We have a story here that we tell ourselves about what it means to be a Vancouverian in British Columbia. And it's a story about chopping wood, it's a story about carrying water, it's a story about digging up things. But this is kind of an old story that doesn't really represent who we are today. Only 3% of our GDP and only 1% of jobs in British Columbia are in the chopping, carrying, and digging industries. These are important and foundational, but we have new chapters that we're writing. Did you know that despite having films from many countries this year at VIF, the very first film to sell out this year was our very own BC film, Charlotte Song. Did you know that the BC film industry is growing to represent $4 billion in GDP and 85,000 skilled jobs? I could give you stats across tech, across tourism, across culture, across education. We have the highest ratio of entrepreneurs in the world. We're one of the top 20 startup ecosystems. Now have the largest cluster of VFX and animation studios in the world. And it's because of that resilience that Vancouver is forecasted to be #1 in economic growth in Canada in the coming year. So the real story of what we are, what it means to be Vancouverite, is that we're tenacious entrepreneurs. We are deeply rooted and incredibly hardworking dreamers. We are creators of something out of nothing. We are people who have friends and colleagues in every city in the world who marvel at the risks we take, at the things that we've created. We get things done with mutual aid, with mentorship, and by inspiring a whole lot of people with what we can do through that determination, hard work, and taking risks. That's the story of the Vancouver that I live in, and I am so proud of Viv for not only bringing us stories, but helping to write that story. I want to thank all of you for your support of their hard work. Congratulations in advance to the award winners, and enjoy the show. Thank you.
We need a good leader to drive the charge behind the festival. It's my honor to welcome the Executive Director of the Vancouver International Film Festival. Please welcome Jacqueline Dupuy.
On behalf of our board, thank you for being here with us to share our final hurrah and the great success Viv has achieved with your support and participation. Let me tell you, it's been a very long 16 days full of excitement, exhaustion, inspiration, and on occasion exasperation, but a completely and utterly rewarding experience. On that note, I'm very proud to say that we've achieved yet another box office record this year. Local and visiting audiences of all ages voted with their feet to demonstrate that the big screen experience is alive and well here in Vancouver. I'll share with you just a couple of highlights from this year's festival. In addition to marveling at Viv's vast international program, attendees also reaffirmed their love for Canadian and local stories, which were once again among some of the highest rated films by our audiences. Our Style and Film and BC Spotlight series delighted attendees, and themes such as Viv Impact and The Great Divide enlightened festival goers by tackling topics that unite Vancouverites in core values such as equality, social responsibility, and sustainability. Viv is proud to honor creators, and we welcomed many special guests such as Naomi Klein, Emma Donahue, the author of Room, Paul Gross, the director of Hyena Road, Deepa Mehta with her film Diva Boys, John Crowley, the director of Brooklyn, and tonight Mark Abraham, the director of I Saw the Light, and that's just to name a few. With initiatives such as our BC Spotlight playlist, the Music Showcase, and the second annual Festival Music House, we also welcomed music into the Viv fold, celebrating its inextricable link to filmmaking and the great talent who call British Columbia home. In its 30th year, Viv Industry doubled down on new partnerships and business development, launching Viv Industry Exchange, Canada's only marketplace for digital online content, and that was produced in partnership with the CMPABC. And we got very real with an entire program dedicated to virtual reality, where we hosted the Canadian premiere of Catatonic, a virtual reality horror film experience. And let me tell you, it was truly horrific and a lot of fun. And in collaboration with BC Creates, we presented the inaugural Viv Screen Industry Builder Award to Frank Justra, legendary financier and philanthropist, speaking of Vancouver, who has demonstrated that as investors, innovators, and risk takers, Viv's and BC's creative economy is positioned for growth. As a catalyst, Viv is inspired by the possibilities at hand and very eager to help facilitate this growth. Now, getting back to the reason we're all here, we couldn't have done any of this without you, our sponsors, donors, movie lovers, staff, and volunteers. To all our sponsors whose generous support helped make this possible, including our major partners, Rogers Communications and Telephone Canada, as well as our government's supporters, the City of Vancouver, the Province of British Columbia, and the Government of Canada through Canadian Heritage. Thank you. Volunteers wearing blue t-shirts throughout the festival gave up valuable time away from their jobs, school, family, and friends to help us run the festival. Each and every one of these 900 volunteers is a valued part of the Viv team, and we thank them for their tremendous charity. Behind it all is one of the most talented, dedicated, and hardworking teams I have ever had the pleasure of leading. The months of long hours it takes to pull an event of this caliber together is truly extraordinary. I am so inspired by all of you and truly grateful for your tireless efforts. Thank you to my staff. And on behalf of our staff, I wish to thank our board of directors for the important work you do governing this society. Last but not least, thanks to each and everyone who participated over the last 16 days, the filmmakers, the industry delegates, our patrons, everyone everyone who walked through the doors, bought some popcorn, and watched the film. You are why we are all here. Thank you for inspiring us to make movie magic 365 here in Vancouver. And finally, VIF delivers a cinematic experience that, while always entertaining and enlightening, often also impacts hearts and minds. It's the curatorial vision of Alan Franey, our Director of Programming, that has shaped this unique legacy. I'd like to invite Alan and Terry McAvoy, our Canadian Images programmer, to the stage to present this year's slate of audience awards. And Alan will also introduce our special guest for the evening. Hand it over to Alan and Terry.
Hello. At a previous awards ceremony, the following awards were given out. The must-see winner was Tricks on the Dead, directed by Jordan Patterson. The most promising director of a Canadian short film winner was Kathleen Hepburn for a short film, Never Steady, Never Still. A new award for VIF, Best Canadian Short Film, was given to Blue Eyed Blonde, directed by Pascal Durand. And keeping the Best Canadian Awards in the feature-length category, Best Canadian Film was awarded to director Andrew Cividino for Sleeping Giant. François Péloquin received the inaugural award for Emerging Canadian Director for his film The Sound of Trees. The Emerging BC Filmmaker was given to the Devout's director Connor Gaston. And the Best BC Film was awarded to Fractured Land and directors Damien Gillis and Fiona Ray. The most popular Canadian feature film, the runner-up, is Mark Soar's film, No Man Beyond His Point. And the winner of the most popular Canadian feature film is Room, which is a Canadian Ireland co-production. For most popular Canadian documentary, a clear choice, Haida Gwaii, On the Edge of the World.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tina. She's the best person in the whole world, who's the producer of the movie. Thank you, Katarina, who is sitting right beside her right now. Thank you, Knowledge Net, for the finance picture. But mostly, I want to thank VIF and the VIF community. That's you guys. We heard how long VIF has been entertaining people here in Vancouver. I think the second or third year that VIF was in business. Alan did us the honor of selecting my first feature movie, My Kind of Town. I was never quite sure why he did that. But he did, and some of you came to see it, and since that time, we've had 7 films selected by the festival, so we've been here this whole time. And I just can't tell you how much we appreciate the support that you guys have given to the work that all of us, BC filmmakers, have done. We've seen a ton of movies over the years here at VIF, and in this year in particular, and many of them have a message, and many of them are what you might call activist films. And I think that all of them have the same message for all of us, and that message is for us tonight. Please vote.
Well, the jury of the Women in Film Television Artistic Merit Award also, they did vote, and their selection was Mina Shah's Ninth Floor. We had it first. I'm going to read the notes from the jury planning. A masterful weaving of archival footage, captivating testimonials, and metaphorical images that illuminate a dark part of our country's history. This film compels the audience to question their own perception of racism. Congratulations, Mina.
I get to tell you about the international awards, just a couple. First of all, the most popular international documentary was a film that just played very late in the festival, but is racing to the top of the polls, and that is Ingrid Bergman, In Her Own Words. II, Fractured Land again for VIF Impact Canadian Audience Award. Now, the most important award of all, the film that rises right to the top. Riaz, would you please come and tell us what it is? It is the Rogers People's Choice Award, so why don't you announce it?
About you, your votes, a lot of great movies featured this year at the film festival, but the Rogers People's Choice Award goes to the opening film, Brooklyn, by John Cloud.
In this envelope, there's just a little bit about the film for those who didn't see it. It's a UK, Ireland, Canada co-production. This superbly acted drama about an enterprising young woman torn between post-World War II life and love in New York or back home in Ireland. It opened the festival and went on to draw its largest and very enthusiastic crowds. Now, we're delighted to get on with tonight's film, which we're all dying to see, and would you please give a very warm welcome to director Mark Abraham and producer
Thank you, Alan. Thank you to Jackie. Thank you to Vancouver for having our film. It's always an honor. I've been up here a few times. I've enjoyed coming up here. I was on the plane and I thought, oh, I should say, well, it's just kind of Hollywood North, but I realized there's so much production here. It's actually Hollywood is Vancouver South. You all know this, everyone knows this, that there's no project, there's nothing that gets off the ground by one person or one idea, or it just doesn't work that way. It takes on tons of people and whatever involvement, environment people are involved in. And the first person who read the script, which that I wrote, and said, I will be involved in this, and I want to be involved with this, and I will help you make this film, and more importantly, I will come up with some money to help you make this film. A lot of people tell you they're going to help you, but very few people actually do that. With someone from Vancouver and a company from Vancouver. And that company is Braun Studios, and that is Aaron Gilbert and his beautiful wife, she's my wife. She is your beautiful wife. So, Aaron Gilbert. The only thing I'd like to say about the film, besides I'm thrilled to have it here, and I love that we're showing it in Vancouver, to be able to have the opportunity to come up here and allow us to do that, is that when we set out to make the movie, the primary thing for me was I was always a huge country music fan, and you couldn't be a country music fan without being a fan of Hank Williams. So whether you know his music and you're here tonight because you know his music, or you don't know his music, you just know that the impact. 65 years after the guy died, we're still talking about him. But my goal was to tell the truth. And I think that we're as authentic in this picture as you could possibly be. And to do that, one of the things that I decided was I wasn't going to start with cradle and take him to the grave because I didn't want to try to explain Hank Williams to somebody and how he became who he was. We only do a short period of time, and we don't really try to psychoanalyze him or show you how he wrote his songs. We really just pull back the curtain on this extraordinary life of very, very young people. I mean, these are people in their 20s. You think about it, Taylor Swift is 25 years, 26 years old now, and Hank was that during this movie. And as I said, 60 years later, we're still talking about it. So, as you see it, that's what we've attempted to do. I hope you really enjoy the film. If you don't enjoy the film, I hope it provokes you. If it doesn't provoke you, I hope it makes you mad. I just want you to feel something when you come out, feel that you got poked or touched or whatever. Because when you go off and make a movie, that's really what's in your heart, which is to tell the story that people will be either moved by or touched by or challenged by. So enjoy it. And sorry.
One word for me, if you don't mind.
Yes.
I just wanted to say one word other than happy anniversary to my wife. Thank you. Brownie points, I appreciate that. Is really thank you. In the crowd tonight is Braun Studios, and there's about 100+ people who work at Braun here. And I just want to thank all of you